Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. I am joined by a gentleman that usually takes no introduction, but we're going to do it anyway, just because we're completists. Remember, Braun, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me on, and great to be here.
It's really good to be here. This is a little unusual. This is kind of rare for you and I to get into a video, isn't it?
That's true, actually. We speak to each other a lot, but not often on a video like this. Yeah, you're right.
I know. All right. So we've got to start with some basics here because you literally oversee, you're the founder of, I would say, one of the most complete research and entertainment vehicles around Bond lifestyle. It's literally called Bond Lifestyle. So we've got to talk about this. What started your passion around creating something around this channel?
I guess it's a combination of things that I like and do. Like I've always been a Bond fan from a young age, looking at the watches, looking at the cars, the first things I really liked. And also me being a designer, web designer, working with computers a long time, for me it was natural to go into websites at an early age. I started my first websites in '99 or something, and then by 2005, I made a lot of websites for clients, but then I wanted to make something for myself. I was like, I want to use my skills, and I want to only use it for something that I really truly like. So that's how I really in an afternoon came up with the idea and the layout even really quickly as well. Suddenly it just came to me like what I wanted, and what was my vision, which till today still stands as actually the design of the website. And the idea was really just to focus on the high-end lifestyle products, merchandise as well in the beginning, but quickly morphed more into the products you see in the movies that James Bond actually uses, and to create like a great guide on that. And I mean, you were already online as well on AGB 007. Of course, we were very quickly very close. I met all these people like you, and the information was already out there. But I just tried to put it together in my sort of professional, design way, which is my profession. So that combination really, it's like a double passion project, I guess.
Yeah, you know what I liken what you did, your creation to, is that there was so much and still is so much social media, but it's really around moments and entertainment. So even my videos, they're entertainment, but you'd be hard pressed to go to my YouTube channel to really search for something successfully. What you've created is something that is so searchable that if somebody says to themselves, I really want to purchase this, but I want to find out more information on it, and I want it done in an entertaining way, but I also want it to be done in a beautiful way that gives introspection. This is the target and the focus. I mean, that's what I've come to walk away with is, yours really transcends so much more.
Yeah, I guess on the website you can really give more detailed information. You're right. It's like I also see it more as an encyclopedia in sort of like a long-term thing. So pages are always being updated as well. It's not a static thing. Like once it's there, that's it. So a lot of times I go back into pages and add more information. Because I find out I actually wrote way too short of an article for the product, or I didn't have time at the time to go into the details, and there's still so much to do. Like I find pages, I'm like, oh my God, like why is this so short? Like there's so much more to say. But in 2005, I had to put stuff on in the beginning and it was just easier. But now, I mean, on social media, I guess the great thing is that people can really share their own collection, for example, like I remember in 2008, I had a website, part of my website where people can add parts of their collection, to show it off, but now that's obsolete. But with social media, people can be more involved. So I think that's a great value, and that really increased the whole lifestyle and experience, element of it all. But I guess it's good to have a backbone in there to, where the data is all gathered in one place and where as a sort of a reference point. And that's why I try to be very accurate, very authentic, not go too much into replicas or homages or alternatives, and just be sort of the sort of reference point, I guess.
I have a hard time describing to people adequately. So I'm going to ask for your help in about a moment. They ask me all the time, why the lifestyle? Like here it is, it's Bond's lifestyle, the drinking, the eating, the locations, the outfits, the brands. And I try to explain to them that for me, it's almost, I I really respect this very capable anti-hero. And the fact that he is an anti-hero, he's not perfect. He's not a Boy Scout, but literally you can capture these tiny moments of his life in a very invisible way. And it's a celebration of life. He's not dealing with disgusting food or bad clothing or, horrible watches. He's really trying to get the most out of life. But for you, what is it about the Bond lifestyle that just really attracts you to it?
Um, I guess it comes down indeed to sort of like the luxury aspect of it, like which as a kid I was attracted to cars mostly, like I said, So I was a big fan of the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis that I saw in the south of France when we went on holiday there. We went to Monaco, Like somehow that was just for me that was Bond, Like that was well, this is like so Bond style. So as a kid, that's where I grew into a little bit, and I guess that's still a little bit to focus on the website, even though of course I do old products, even if it wears like the flip flops, for $19, then it's still interesting. But I guess the Bond lifestyle, my picture, my image of it is definitely the high end sort of, which I like, the Esther Dupont's cufflinks, that kind of style. So yeah, I guess the quality, luxury element of it, the exclusivity. I think that's really what Roger Moore also added to it, with his sort of debonair Monaco, sort of gentleman like persona that he added to
Yeah.
Bond. He added that more even I think than Sean Connery did. Stuff like that, So I feel that that's my connection to it, and I still focus on it, even though I think nowadays it's slightly getting more normal. Like it's not it's sort of luxury, but it's not. It's different from Roger Moore's
Mm.
Monaco style, and sometimes I think it goes overboard a little bit too much. Like I think Tom Ford is almost too much for me. I think it's slightly over the top expensive or too. Yeah. For me, there's also limits to certain levels of exclusivity, I guess, which is ideal for Bond. I think that the Turnbull and Esser level is maybe slightly better. Like slightly like definitely a luxury, but not like something extreme.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's get into that because one of the things obviously this video is about, the brands and product placements and things like that. I mean, I would say, and maybe, agree or disagree, the affordability or the being able to digest some of these brands and experiences is definitely proportional to the individual and their socioeconomical status. I mean, clearly,
Hmm.
for some people, not you and I, but for some people, Tom Ford is a drop in the ocean. Oh, I'll get six Tom Fords. You and I, we don't fly in those circles yet. But so I understand what you're saying. As opposed to a Turnbull and Asser, you can get a tie for $65, $70, and you've got that really good Bond moment. So do you think that the pendulum has swung in the last few years to really the majority of Bond fans or people that want to live this lifestyle, it being very difficult to really connect to all these brands because they've priced them out?
I think that's true for some major parts of Bond's lifestyle. Yeah, exactly. Like I think even the Omega watches lately have gone up in price like so much, like beyond most people's reach. Like they
Ten
used to be
thousand dollars for
expensive.
the newest one.
Exactly. I think that's just beyond expensive. Like if you have a €2,000 or dollar watch, like that's attainable if you save for it, or like a lot of people bought that watch, like the first Seamasters or something, like that's doable. But 10,000 is getting on a new level. That's like the Tom Ford polos that are maybe $600 or more, or the jackets that are $2,000. Like that just beyond a level that really like most people can afford or save up to or want to save up to at some point. So I think that's definitely a shame, and I think that alienates some people or really gets people into maybe buying alternatives. But I understand it from the brand's point of view. Like I'm sure Tom Ford is doing pretty well from their connection, and I'm also definitely sure that Omega is one of the most popular, or actually most profitable Bond connections ever made. Like I'm sure if you count up all their sales of limited editions and the prices they ask, I mean, those numbers are insane. Like it makes their if they even pay Bond anything, it would be totally worth it. A little bit like Heineken maybe did. If they pay 40 million for a Heineken, that's nothing. But I think Omega actually is similar. Like the amount of sales they get just from the Bond watches. Like I'm not even talking about the other watches that people buy just because of the Bond connection, like a
Right.
normal Seamaster or a normal DeVille or Aquaterra, but actually just the Bond watches and limited editions, like those sales are incredible, So yeah, I think it makes sense from the brand point of view, but it's kind of a shame for the people that just want to buy like the Bonds, the real Bond thing.
I think there's two things going on. There's like you're talking about the demand. So, first of all of our Brown's first line of clothing with the safari jacket and things like that kept selling out, like 3 runs, selling out, selling out. So clearly the demand was there, even though it's a luxury brand selling luxury items. The second
Yeah.
thing is, for example, I'm wearing, the Diamonds Are Forever shirt from Oliver Brown. I wouldn't expect them to sell a shirt for less than what they would normally sell a Terry toweling shirt. If they sell it for $200, I would fully expect this to be $200. But a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people were like, this is outside the affordability of most Bond fans. Well, yes, it's a luxury brand and they're not going to undersell their particular value or to their audience. Like I'm sure the Bond community is a relatively small percentage of their sales, quite
Yeah,
frankly. So I
yeah.
think they've got to weigh all those out. Then they've got to pay, Dan Jack and Eon licensing fees on top of that. And I'm not saying that the profit margins aren't there. Luxury brands, perfume, colognes, watches, the margins are monstrous. So I'm not saying they're not making a lot of money, but I understand their model, I think.
Yeah, no, it makes sense for sure. You're right. I think Oliver Brown is a good example where basically the prices are based on what they normally charge. So that's just the brand. Like, so it is an expensive shirt, but all their shirts are expensive if you say they're expensive, So, and the markup for Bond is always there, no matter which product you buy, maybe except for the Heineken bottles, but yeah, like for lifestyle expensive luxury products, there's always a Bond markup if they have a 007 logo on it,
Yeah.
So I think that definitely makes sense. But yeah, I understand people that say it's too expensive or it's overpriced, for a huge group of fans, for the majority of fans, and for the majority of normal people in the world, So yeah, I think that is dangerous. Like it's partly Bond, so partly is definitely part of the lifestyle to be expensive. It has to be, otherwise it's also if you just have cheap products, like if you just wear H&M, like where's the image, So you can't have that. But yeah, I guess there needs to be a balance. That's what I said also. What about also the turnbuckle answer, in the deep, like the tie or even a shirt, like it's still doable, and certain things now are I think not doable anymore for really 99.9% of the population.
Yeah, although now you have Tommy Bahamas, Rag and Bone. I mean, they're a little bit more accessible. They're not H&M, they're not Target or J.C.
Yeah,
Penney's yet, but who
yeah.
knows? Maybe future Bonds. But uh, I have a question about this because if you look at, and I know you follow product placement. It's one of your hobbies, as do I. 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s all saw product placement and advertisement around Bond. They used the Bond engine to sell things and to market things. But what have you seen change from those times to today? What are some of the changes from a marketing perspective that you've seen?
Well, I guess the main obvious one is that the movies nowadays need the marketing money to even produce the movies they do. Like so the budgets are so high that without like mega marketing deals, they wouldn't be able to make them that expensive. Even though they make a lot of money, they never know in advance if it's going to make that money. So if you want to make a 200 million movie or 300 million movie, you need to get some sponsors in there to get it made. And then, okay, if it makes $1 billion in the end, like, okay, then you could have made it also without them maybe. But if it doesn't, you don't want to be like 40 million short, in your production. So I think that became a major part of of course, just the mechanics of making movies. So it fits in there. And I think also in the beginning, of course, it was probably slightly more just personal, maybe like, oh, let's do this in the movie. It was probably slightly less set up, as it is now. Like now, of course, it's a real professional, it's a huge industry, just even the product placements. So I guess it's slightly less innocent maybe as it used to be in the 60s and 70s, where it was still probably like, oh, that's cool, and yeah, I think there are some cute examples almost, which probably like I think even like probably one of the worst examples is like even like 7 Up or something in Moonraker, like it's so obvious, but it's also I think it's almost still cute now. Maybe we're gonna think about that now in 20 years about the movies now, but I think it's kind of funny to see like these billboards in there, and I think the good thing is what they did in the beginning. I think more than now, especially lately, after Casino Royale, I think the integration of brands or things that are pretty obvious, like 7-Up or the billboards in Moonraker, or the Seiko watches, or they really integrated the things in the story. So they usually were not really shown just for like it is shown for promotion, but usually they really try to work it into the story, I think, So the guy ends up in the billboard or something, or the man falls into all the red striped cases, like there's the Seiko watches, of course, have a lot of gadgets around it, So I think that those are all great integrations of brands in a way that at least they tried, to really make it something. And I think, weirdly enough, even though the prices have gone up so high, I think they do less of an effort to integrate it nicely in the story. Like I mean, we haven't seen a gadget in an Omega watch since Casino, as since in Daniel Craig movie, except Inspector, the explosion. But there's it's if you count the amount of watches we see on Daniel Craig's wrist and how many gadgets they have, it's pretty low, So that I think I think that's a shame. And I think also for things like Heineken, where he drinks a Heineken, okay, that's in itself maybe offensive, but in a way not, because he drinks beer since Dr. No, or at least we see beer since Dr. No. But they don't use it, like it's not like he uses it that much, in a cool way, I guess maybe Inspector, where he pours some drinks on the floor, that's already a little bit better, but like there's not a lot of times, or even the Ford Mondeo that he drives, in Casino Royale, it just shows up, and then you see, okay, he uses the phone for some directions there, I guess, a little bit, but yeah, a lot of times they miss the real honest, like, oh, let's put this in a fun way in the movie,
Yeah, it's interesting because, and I'm going to send this to you because I don't know if you've ever seen it, but what people don't realize is during the Roger Moore era, they used to actually sell Seiko watches in the movie theater. And I found a display that actually showed the watches kind of like all lined up.
Yeah.
So I think for 2 or 3 of them, they sold the Seiko watches. You would go in there, you'd grab your popcorn, and you'd be like, "Oh, there's the Seiko watch. I can buy it right there and then." You
perfect.
Definitely wouldn't see that nowadays, like personal sunglasses being sold.
Yeah,
but I think the Brosnan movies, like even when he crashes the tank, through Perrier cans and they go exploding, have some of the most overt marketing and brand moments. And then you're right, when you move into Daniel Craig, what I think people forget is the Bond community will very often say, "Oh my gosh, promotion and marketing in the Daniel Craig era, it's out of hand and it's everywhere, and Oliver Brown and Tom Ford." Well, yeah, that's because social media has people like you and I putting out videos and pictures and Instagram, so they're being bombarded. But if you walk outside of the Bond community, the average Joe going to a James Bond film, they wouldn't know Sunspell or Oliver Brown or NPL if it bit them on their face. So to them, they don't know. They just think, "Oh, he's wearing a nice watch. What's the name of it again? Omega? Yeah, they don't know. But we're bombarded, mostly because of you and I and Matt Spazer and other people, with this constant barrage. So what do you think about that? What do you think about the social media, I'll call it megaphone, of people taking those marketing and lifestyle things and putting it up there? Has it changed the way we do things?
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, I mean, it's also the internet and the way people can now spread information, and how people can come together more than in old times, where, for example, there was a Bond magazine or a newsletter that a small, elite group put out with inside information to a group of fans, via the mail. Now, the way I started Bond Lifestyle as well, like the information available, people coming together on a forum or now on social media, is an amazing, of course, knowledge boom in a way, So there's also just much more to know, even, like probably previously it was like, okay, he drives an Aston Martin and he drives a Lotus, but now it's like, like every shirt and every set photo that, first of all, we get much earlier and spreads earlier, and we can zoom in much more, gets nitpicked to like the nittiest detail. But not only that, it actually gets identified too, because of group knowledge, not just because you and I or something do it. Like there's other people actually doing a lot of the identification, like people on the forums, again, like lots of credit to them. Like somebody knows or had the jacket already, like, oh, I actually had that jacket already since last year, So that's how things get identified, that so there's just so much more. It's really like a beast, of knowledge that's working together. And I guess social media is just a part of that, but I think it's more as just an online thing where people can just put their input and that's a great thing in a way. But yeah, that makes people also go into more and more detail to either distinguish themselves or because they can, like, I mean, Matt Spacer goes into great detail about all the suits, which I can't go into all that detail, like if I wish, like there's just so much to say about everything, and so I think it's a good thing in that sense. But yeah, it also sounds then that there's a lot more product placement going on. Well, I wonder if that's even true, because like there is of course more money going around, but like I said, like it's not that obvious really in the movies always that some moments stand out, but like I said, it's not used that much anymore as it used to be. For example, more in the marketing sense, but not in the movie.
Right.
Like
And I
indeed,
think
like
it's
Pierce Brosnan had much more actual product usage, with a clear logo in his hand and an explosion in this and like, and then like it's more visible, I guess. So yeah, it's a different visibility, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the focus has changed a little bit. If you look at the 60s and 70s and part of the 80s, there had more toys, more
Yeah,
things accessible by children. And the
yeah,
the
that's
target
true.
age group of collectability, memorabilia, and lifestyle has definitely moved up. They used to have children clothing. Now they have adult child clothing, like things that would fit you and I. And because of that, I think a
Yeah.
whole community, a sub-community of the Bond community, the lifestyle community has grown up, and we feed off of each other. And even for people that look for those frugal bond moments, like next week, I have
Hmm.
a video coming out on a frugal bond moment.
Hmm.
So many people love that because it really shouldn't be about how much you have in your wallet,
Yeah,
to have that
yeah,
invisible bond moment, because it's a state of mind. You could
yeah.
hear a song and put yourself into an imaginative bond moment. You don't need an Omega watch on your wrist.
Hmm. Yeah, something should be unattainable. Maybe it's fine to have an Aston Martin DB5 in there that nobody can afford. Like that could be fine. But then it's about smaller things, that make your daily life. I mean, some people can have the Aston Martin feeling, but most people would just want to have like the shirt, or like they need like maybe a watch, or maybe the shoes or the jacket. Like jacket is a great one. I think like the Barber jacket, which is about 400 or 500. So those are not cheap, but they're still great. People can definitely get it, and feel like Bond. And I think that's also what we actually in the beginning also really liked about it. Your secret Bond moments where you walk on the street with your Barber jacket that doesn't have a big 007 logo on it. It's just the Barber jacket that's from the movie, and so those are the nice moments, But
I wonder if they were
yeah,
doing the Barber jacket today, if it'd have a big 007 logo on the back or on the inside.
yeah. Well, so I think also what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the products that we show in our channels are
Mhm.
not per se paid for product placements. So it might also seem that everything is sponsored, but a lot of things, which are a lot of times even my favorite things, are the things that are probably just chosen by the costume department because they wanted that product.
That's right.
And of course, they might have gotten the product maybe for free, but it was not maybe like a whole premeditated placement. And yeah, we should not forget that. Like not everything is paid for at all. Like only usually the major brands are actually paid for. And
Correct.
really promote it. And a lot of brands cannot use their connection to Bond even at all because they didn't pay for it. So like the Tommy Bahamas you mentioned, or the Barber, were just chosen by the costume designer, I would say. So
That's right.
yeah,
And it's a
those are
gift.
also
It,
yeah.
it's a gift for them because, I know many of
Hmm.
those companies, Massimo Alba, things like that, Connolly, they get chosen. Like you said, it's not a contract. They get chosen, and suddenly they see that there's a community and they wind up capitalizing on that. And sometimes they have to backtrack and do have to work through official channels to
Yeah,
do what they want to do with the brand, or just keep
exactly.
it
Yeah.
very uh, kind of authentic and informal, so to speak.
And some people some companies don't even care at all. They're like, you contact them, they're like, yeah, we can't deal with this. Like that's also so funny always. But
They
I think
don't
it's also
care.
interesting. There's also funny that of course we always think of like the brands gain so much from this connection with Bond, which is true a lot of times. But I think also we should not forget that Bond gains a lot from a lot of companies as well. Like Bond gets also his image, from all these brands. Like
Mm.
it's thanks to Rolex or Aston Martin that he also has that image. He actually uses those brands as well. So it's also kind of
Yeah.
it goes both ways in a way. I think.
Okay, what I love that you've been doing on your channel is you're going back in time, because we have time, no time to die. And you are actually highlighting different products from different films, like the Tasco binoculars and things like that, the opera glasses. For you, though, you personally, Remert, What is your favorite out of all the movies, not just the recent ones? What's your favorite product placement moment?
That's a hard one. Yeah.
Because I know you like the watches. I know you like the
I know.
digital stuff.
It's not maybe one moment. Yeah. It's probably like maybe I would say this. Maybe I just had a chat with from Taylors with Love, like Peter Booker, about the Seiko watches,
Mhm.
digital watches. Like I guess for me, maybe that has the most personal connection because that's how I really liked. That was one of the first things I liked in the movies. I guess the Roger Moore era digital watches, the watches he wears in the 1970s and 80s is something I replicated in the 80s when I was a kid, when I had little watches and played with them, made little mini gadgets out of these sort of cheap Casio watches that were available everywhere. And I had like a whole row of watches next to my bed and I was playing with them all the time. So for me, I guess the Seiko, gadget watches are maybe for me some of the best moments. I think, like I said before, like I think they really used it well, their product placements. Not in the movie and outside the movie. Like they have a lot of nice posters and marketing materials, and they really use the watches in the movies. They went through a lot of effort to create those watches with digital effects. They thought about it, how to integrate it in the movie. I don't think it's overly. It's shown a lot in the movie, but I think it's in a useful way. If you're tracing
Yeah.
the egg and octopus, I mean that's part of the story. And he uses a watch instead of his phone, but I think that's a great that's great use of a product placement. So that's probably one of my favorites.
I love them too. They're fun. They smack of Roger Moore. They smack of nostalgia. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're even wearing an homage watch, maybe from Live and Let Die.
Yeah, I'm wearing of course, the
Oh,
Hamilton Pulsar watch homage, which I think is a great homage and also a great watch. Although it's not even overly used in the movie, it's actually the first electronic digital watch ever, and this
yeah.
is a great homage. So I like that one.
So
Um,
I'm going to keep on watches for a second because I actually do want your opinion on this. There's so many opinions on this, but I don't think I've ever gotten yours. So you've got that watch, and then you've got the wonderful Seiko kind of moments. What do you think about the whole Rolex Omega thing, where Rolex was
mhm,
chosen, but it certainly wasn't contracted? The Omega watch, starting
mhm,
with GoldenEye, well, that's
mhm.
that's contracted. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great conversation online. I always follow it with interest. I guess I didn't grow up in the 60s with like the actual movies starting out. So for me, I came in, my first movie online on screen was, sorry, on the big screen in the cinema was GoldenEye.
Mm,
So
wow.
I, but I wouldn't say I'm the Omega, fan per se, in the sense of like I prefer Omega versus Rolex. I would still say that Rolex is the original Bond watch, just because Fleming mentions Rolex as well. So I mean, I think Rolex being in the books and in the first movies makes it actually a more Bond watch than Omega. But that said, Omega did, I said again, like in the Pierce Brosnan movies, did a great job in actually integrating the watches in the movies, putting gadgets in them, did a great job of selecting Lindy Hemming, I guess, together with
Mm,
Omega, selecting the Seamaster, which I think still the original blue one is probably my favorite, not per se the quartz, but just the blue, even that he wears up to Casino Royale, that type. I think it's a great choice. So I don't think it's a bad watch, and they integrated it really well. So it has, I think it has earned its place in the Bond world. But if you ask me what's the original Bond watch, I would still say Rolex.
yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. Well, that's good.
And
You actually, yeah, you have a real decision on that.
yeah, exactly. And actually, like some people also like dislike the conversation between Vesper and Bond in Casino Royale on the train, where she says like, oh, Rolex, and he says Omega. I think that's a really clever product placement. Like some people hate it, but I think that's great. Like I think that's a great homage, even and funny actually too. Like a lot of things in Casino Royale are so subtle and so funny. I think that works really well, and I think it works as a reference and an homage as well as a product placement for that movie. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, Robert, you and I have gotten to know a lot of the people that own the Bond brands, especially around the clothing and people that have, contracts with the Bond franchise. And one of the things that you and I have been observing is, I wouldn't call it their frustration, but certainly not the most perfect situation as far as No Time to Die getting moved. Because for many
Yeah.
things with these launches, they banked on having a movie to really support them, to create that megaphone that we just talked about. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, you have these Bond launches. You haven't even had all them coming out. You still have Globetrotter who wants to do another one, Crockett and Jones. Some of them are
Yeah,
keeping, as I say, their powder dry, Turnbull and
yeah,
Asser. So we
yeah.
haven't seen them come out, but I mean, what do you think is happening with this constantly moving target of a movie?
I think it's definitely going to get watered down, the effect, compared to like a full-on launch like they would have like during Spectre or Skyfall. I think it's definitely not a great thing for brands, for anyone, of course. But the effect will definitely be less. It's just, you can't, like, normally, like I said before, like everybody benefits from each other. It's not just the Bond brands benefiting from the James Bond connection, but the James Bond movies, like the whole, just their marketing depends a lot on being on 6 billion Heineken bottles around the world. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that all comes together, not just Heineken, but then also Crockett and Jones, and also Globetrotter. Every niche gets like reached via these brands to promote the actual movie. So I think that part is going to be very tricky now, and I'm not sure if that's going to have an effect on the people going to the movies, because of course we're going to go to the movies, and we know hundreds of people that will go to the movies no matter what. Like, even if it was only playing in 4 a.m, on Sundays they would still
I'm
go.
there.
Like, it
I'm
doesn't
there.
matter. But we're there. But like, we're talking about, like, is it going to make $1 billion, or is everybody going in the whole world? That's a different story. And I think right now things are being really, spread out, and that effect might have a big impact on not just the brands but also the movie. Like I said, they are
Yeah.
very strongly connected.
I agree. I feel for them. I mean, you've got a couple of things. You've got obviously a pandemic going on where the economy is affected and people being
Mm-hmm.
careful. And then,
Yeah.
you do have this kind of, they were banking on this core, action
Mm-hmm.
oriented movie to kind of drive the thoughts around Bond outside of the Bond community. I, I want to do something fun with you. These have been tough questions. You deserve a break. I want to do something fun. All right. So, I think people need to realize, although you and I put out quite a bit of content. It's not in a robotic fashion. You and I still get like little kids when we open a box. I mean, it's very genuine. You did an unboxing of that watch that you just showed, and you were like a child on Christmas morning. So here we go. If you could have any product, either recent or old in the past, that's associated with the Bond franchise, anything, what would you choose and why?
um, it, I mean, I would probably choose the Aston Martin DB5, because
I
I
knew
think, to
it.
me, it's the ultimate. It's like, actually, the new homage one they're making, the Goldfinger version with all the gadgets. I think that's just a toy, basically. It's not even allowed to go on the road. So I would actually consider that a toy. If money was no object, I would get that one in a garage to put it in, and a track to drive it around. But I think the Aston Martin is is one of the most iconic, products that is connected to Bond, and it's just so beautiful. Like, every time you see it in real life, it's just such a stunning car. We were lucky enough to see it in Switzerland, going around, on the Furka Pass and stuff, and just that thing just makes your heart go beat faster.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be a car guy. I mean, you and I are car guys, so we appreciate
Mm.
the artistry and the lines and the look and the design. But even if you're not, when you see that car, but you also see any, quite frankly, Aston Martins,
Mm-hmm.
there's something very fluid. It's almost like you're seeing liquid with wheels. And
Yeah,
just the thought process around it is just like, how did a human being design such a perfect looking
yeah, exactly.
vehicle?
Yeah,
It is just,
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm sounding very subjective because I am, but I agree with you. By the way, would your wife allow you to keep that toy in your living room?
We would have to discuss, moving to a bigger place, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's that's always a question with any Bond item, even, like, no matter how small.
Although you could probably sell that and probably get several nice houses around the world.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's definitely it's a crazy machine. I'm happy to have one of the 1 to 8 scale ones. The ones you built yourself. I think I'll have to keep it to that one.
Yeah. All right, Remmert, We're going to end this because I really do want to hear. I mean, you continue to do, and this has been a topic of conversation. You know, there have some people that said without the support of a movie, some social channels would wane. They would darken. They would lose their enthusiasm, the ability to come up with new topics. You are constantly posting on all the channels, on your website. It continues to grow. But what can we expect in the future from you and your brand?
Um, well, I guess more of the old stuff. I want to definitely go back into the older movies again, because I feel that that's also where a lot of people want to see information from. You know, because the new movies get a lot of attention everywhere, but I think there's a lot of value still in a lot of products that are missing from the old movies. So I definitely want to focus. I always try to rewatch and then go through. You know, I almost can't watch the normal. The Bond movies in a normal way anymore. You know, you just have to look at like what am I missing? What is still, you know? Oh, that's cool. You know, that's interesting. Or like I said, even expand on the old articles. That's definitely, it might not seem like it, but it takes so much time to even just go back in these old articles, you know, that don't even show up on the front page of like new stuff, but just to keep those up or, you know, add information there.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of time goes. I'm going to do some more contests. I know it's been a little bit quiet around the contests, so we're going to do some more of those. And well, of course, when the movie comes out, I mean, we basically already have almost everything from No Time to Die, I guess, identified. You know, the community. So there's not even that much more new stuff, but I guess there'll be more when the movie comes out. So that will definitely be a big focus for the year and a half to come.
I know you'll be there for that for sure. Remert, thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much
you.
for your time. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, David. Always great. Pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. So this has been Remert and of course me, David Zaritsky from the Bond Experience, and we will see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.